I got my grandma to agree to give us a tour of her house, and I am so excited to show you guys everything that's inside and to give you a little bit of insight into the history behind this house. So without further ado, let's get into it.
In the early 1980s, my husband of 25 plus years decided that he had a girlfriend, and I and my 6 children were no longer the priority that I felt that we needed to be. So I was left with this beautiful home that we had worked in the 1970s for 3 years building for our family. Oh, we got the dogs. Come on in. The foyer, as you see, has stone. The stone towers from the outside come right on into the interior of the house. And the stonemason was really kind of funny. He didn't order any of the stone from a stone quarry. He just brought the stone home from fishing trips and all that. Evidently his yard, wherever it was filled with all kinds of stones. But this beautiful heart-shaped piece here is called Wonderstone. And there are a number of places in the house where there's a heart. There are several outside that I know of. It's really kind of fun and whimsical. The art here in the front foyer, a lot of it came from Russia. My current husband was with the state of Utah in the economic development area, and we had opportunity to go over to a number of countries, many countries, and it was always on my list to look at what their art was like. I always tell people that it's cheaper to fly to Russia and buy directly from the artist than it is to buy one piece at a gallery. This piece here is maybe one of the best pieces in the house, and we bought it in Rangoon, Burma. Some of them are copies, a lot of them are originals. I went to an art show. I took down the names of all the artists that I really liked, and then I called them after that and asked them if they would paint something for me in my price range. And they said, well, what's your price range? I said, well, 100, 150. It was amazing how many of them wanted to do that for me because they knew I couldn't afford the thousands of dollars that their art was really worth. Let's go into the living room now. I always tell people that I feel sorry for people that have a beautiful home that close the gate and are afraid to allow people in. This room has hosted so many parties. And I've always said any arts group that wants to have a function here is welcome because I know that often they are stressed looking for a venue, and our place is always available. The moldings in the house are from the Richard Cletting home that was torn down many years ago, and he was the architect of the state capitol building. When we were building, someone called us and said that they had not only these moldings but also the doors from the Cletting house, and they're all on the 3rd level of the home. My carpenters spliced them together, and they really did such a beautiful job. You can't even tell that they're pieced at the bottom. This beautiful painting behind me is one of 5. Wally was buying the salvage rights to a lot of the different buildings that were being torn down in the 70s. He went over to this house that was going to be demolished on Monday morning, and he came back and he said, "You wouldn't believe what I found over in the Colmer house." As they had taken the moldings, the beautiful moldings off of the doorways, it kind of tore the wallpaper back, and it was discovered that there were paintings on the wall. And I said, well, if there's one there, is there one over there? And in all, he found 5 paintings that were painted directly onto the plaster walls. Then they were taken up to the university and they put foam on the back of them, and so they're very heavy and they have to be put up with toggle bolts onto the walls into big beams.
What's a toggle bolt?
Oh, I don't know, some big bolt that goes way deep in the wall. If you'll look at the ceiling, Wally bought the salvage rights to a 1/4 mile long railroad trestle, and some of you might know what that is like. It's not like these timbers are not railroad ties. They've never seen creosote. They were a bridge that spanned a indentation. When this mine was being dismantled, the opportunity to buy these timbers was made available, and so they were laboriously brought up to this site on huge lumbering trucks, and the whole house is put together almost like a Lincoln log house, with the timbers on the base being the base for the timbers on the next floor that are base for the timbers on the next floor, and cross timbers. The engineering firm that was called in just said, well, we've never seen anything quite like this, but it looks like it's gonna hold firm. and it has so far. It's a Weber piano, and it dates from 1887. My daughters, I had 2 daughters that were piano performance majors at the university, and we really used the piano an awfully lot. I'm still so in love with classical music. There's so many pieces that they played and competed with that I feel like, gosh, I heard that over 100 times back in the day. One of my neighbors had a painting done of her and her daughter, and I thought, gosh, I've got daughters. I think I'll try and get that artist to paint a painting of us. And so he came and took slide photos because he was in the military, and he thought that he could do that when he was up in North Dakota or wherever he was. And so he painted this from slides, and it really is so very realistic of both Shauna and me at the time, and my younger daughter Jenny. I had another daughter that was about a year and a half, and she's always been so resentful that she wasn't in the painting, and I say, oh, Laurel, you just didn't have your look. And so when she was an adult, I paid to have her have a painting done. This big tree was once alive, but we couldn't, it just didn't have enough light to stay alive, so I've been protecting it for over 20 years, trying to keep the grandchildren from breaking the branches off because they're very brittle. There's a ladder along the wall here that goes up to this area where you can look out the windows, and I thought that there would never be a way for me to wash the windows if I didn't have something like this built, and it is very sturdy. And the grandchildren always wanted to climb up, and I said, you can each climb up on your birthday, and you can't do it alone. We will be watching you when you go up on your birthday. And so they've taken advantage of that some years. Most of the things in the home are used. I never really went to a furniture store and ordered things up. I'd find things at antique stores or even sometimes on the street. And my father had been really good at gluing things together, and so I got my own bar clamps, and he taught me how to glue some of these things that were broken that I found. They have meaning to me that I was able to save them from demolition. Mm-hmm. Let's go into the dining room and let me show you what one of the treasures is. Do you see this ceiling here? Uh-huh. One day, some people up in northern Utah called down to Trolley Square and asked Wally if he wanted any stained glass, and he said, oh, really, I really don't need any. I've got what I need. And he said, well, we don't need a lot of money. The LDS Church has given this building to the community, and we're going to use it for a basketball room, and we can't have this stained glass in there. All we need is money to buy plexiglass. And Wally came home and told me about it, so I went up and looked at it, and I thought, oh my gosh, it's beautiful. They're in the original moldings that went around the windows, and we had to take the glass out and take it to a glass company to do any repairs that were needed, but the wood around the edges was taken to a place that was called the stripper. Then when the glass was put back in, the grid work was designed to go around the size that was needed for the room, and we really love this ceiling. Furniture here in the room came from Spain. This is the story of Don Quixote. Here's Don Quixote and Sancho Panza, and here they are with Dulcinea on the horse. And Cervantes wrote Don Quixote back in the late 1700s, and I don't know just what year this would have been built, but certainly a long time ago. Here's Cervantes, but up here. When Wally was in Spain on a National Guard trip, he found this big break front and 5 chairs. These chairs, but the chairs are not mates to the break front. They would be older than that, and it had different leather. I've had that redone. But see, these gargoyles on the legs are very old. These chairs could be from the 1500s. I've never found anyone that really could authenticate what year they would have been, but I know that those gargoyles are unique. I had 4 more chairs built that I didn't want to have any competition with these. They're just very simple and plain, and I use, these. The other big king chair is over here. And this is the head chair. We built the loft thinking that the kids would play up here, and you grandchildren did, didn't you, Sasha?
Yeah, we definitely did. We definitely did.
I'm not too eager to be responsible for the great-grandchildren that go up here. I don't encourage them to go up.
Okay, I'm gonna turn it around so you guys can see what I see. When we were growing up, we would always write our crushes' names on the walls in here. I'll show you guys, here's the view from on top of the loft.
I had 3 daughters, and the 3 girls lived upstairs here in the 3 bedrooms upstairs. I loved these spoonwork headers in this room. In the salvaging of all of these different mansions that were being torn down, the woodwork in the mansions were very often salvageable, and these headers make it just very feminine to me. This is the bridal wall that shows my 3 daughters here, my daughters-in-law here, these 3, and then this is Dave's daughter. Well, this is a painting of me when I was about 17. The 2 bedrooms up here shared a bathroom. This window in the bathroom is very old and was in one of the mansions down on South Temple in Salt Lake. I used beveled mirrors in a lot of places around the house. I love these chandeliers, and we found them in a real Gringy antique shop, and I needed to have them repolished. They're solid brass, but people took them out of their homes because they tarnished and they weren't very pretty anymore, so that was something that was available to me then. Big piece here was purchased from one of the mansions that was being torn down, and the furniture was being sold off. It's really commodious. It has all of the bride dresses in this side, and just all different things. To get this upstairs was an unbelievable chore. Luckily it comes apart, yet even then it was terribly heavy. Yeah. When Wally was working in St. Louis on the St. Louis train station, that was a period of time when we were building this house, and the reason that I had to take over as sort of general contractor that didn't know how to be a general contractor. When we went back to St. Louis, we needed a fireplace, and there was an antique fireplace store. There was nothing but fireplaces in this fireplace store, and I picked this one to go on this particular fireplace, and I think it's really beautiful. The headboard here in back of the bed is actually the top of the front doors. The doors, those beautiful front doors, were at a college in Illinois, and we cut the top off because we needed the doors to be that size, and then the part that was left over we made into this headboard. Once again, another painting of my children and my sons. This is a charcoal drawing, and oh my gosh, it's exactly the way they looked. He was a wonderful artist. When we bought the doors, I had no idea that there were going to be exactly the right amount of doors for this third level. Not one extra and not one short. This was my oldest daughter Shauna's room, and this beautiful bed we found in San Francisco at an auction, and just put a bid in at the auction, not thinking we would ever be successful, but we were. And when they informed us that we had gotten this bed, then we had to arrange to have it shipped here. And when it came, it had a great big horsehair mattress with it. And so, you know, it probably was from the middle 1800s. I don't know when horsehair mattresses stopped being made. But yes, I have been a quilter, but then when my fingers no longer could really hold a needle well, this one I just tied, and then this kind of a quilt here, I've made one of these for each of the grandchildren because I can do those just on the sewing machine. I've got a lot of different lovely plant stands that I've acquired at antique stores and such around the place. This chest of drawers over here would be at least 150 years old. It's a nice walnut piece. I love this bathtub. This is where I really like to bathe. But all of the different wallpapers are original to the house. In fact, I haven't really painted many areas or recarpeted very much.
Okay.
This is the best views of the city, because if it's a clear day, you can really see those mountains over there. But it's kind of smoggy today. Two of the turrets are stairways, and the other has a bathroom on the main floor and a fireplace on the bottom floor. Some of these stones that I look at, I think, how in the heck did one man get this up here? Isn't
That is a giant stone, I'm not gonna lie.
He had scaffolding, but he didn't have an elevator. I don't know how he got it. The Constitution Building in downtown Salt Lake City on Main Street, almost up to South Temple, was really one of the most important buildings that had been built in the city. It's right across the street from the biggest department store. Sasha, come and take a picture of it. It was built back in the 1800s, before there was any electricity. The name on the building wasn't neon or lighted up like we have now. When Wally bought all of the salvage rights of all of the woodwork in the Constitution Building, he also bought that Constitution Building sign, and it was a metal sign that is now the front of the bar, right here on the front of the bar. But you can see how it was built out of all of this metal. It's not rusted, so it must have been some kind of tin. The wood in this downstairs area here is all heart redwood, and it's so beautiful. Out at the Anaconda Mill, they had this settling tank. There was a big round tank made of this wood that was about 3 by 6 or whatever. As the metals were put down in this bath to cool them off after they'd been heated, that the iron went into the wood and stained it in such interesting patterns. Heart redwood means that it doesn't have any knots in it, so it's pure, because if it had knots, the water would leak out. So this is really rare to have a room that is paneled with, or is not. They were put up in separate boards, but has heart redwood on the walls. I don't have a cleaning lady, and so any dust that you can see has a rightful place here.
It does have a rightful place. Amen.
I haven't done a thing to stop it. This flying machine was made by a couple of sculptors that did it for Trolley Square, and it hung there for a number of years, but when it was no longer going to be appreciated, we we brought it up here, and it has had this home ever since. It's made from a John Deere seeder and a Singer sewing machine and other sundry metal parts.
Shh! Ringo, come here. Come here, Ringo. Bring me the ball. Give me the ball.
When we were first married, we went down to Texas to learn to fly the F-86D, and I remember so vividly the night sky there, because the airplane had fire shooting out of its out of the back of it at night when it went on its night flights, and it was really exciting to think that my husband was up there flying one of those planes. And then when the National Guard was recommissioned and given big transport aircraft that took supplies to all of the different Army stations all over the world, that's how Wally was in Spain several times and brought home things every time that he was there, furniture type things, because he knew how to go to what he called the Rostro, and it's an area of Madrid that has antique stores or junk shops, really junk stores, and he could find things that he knew that we would enjoy and brought them home. And then when he was the aircraft commander going over to Vietnam and took supplies in during the Vietnam War, he had no idea at the time how advantageous that was going to be, because when he came down with Alzheimer's and needed to go to the Veterans Hospital, he was considered a Vietnam veteran, even though he had been there for 2 days. So that was his only service, was to take that one aircraft over with supplies. These beautiful front doors are the base of these are the doors that were on the college in Missouri. And then the top arch is the headboard that I showed you earlier, and it was stained a different color.
Interesting.
Give this door a coat of Marine Spar varnish every year so that it will keep its luster and be beautiful.